What is up, guys? Welcome back. As you can see, today we have a 2018 Mazda Miata, or MX-5, and I rented this car on Turo. It's not sponsored. It's just where I happened to find this car, and it's a great place to find all sorts of cars that you don't normally get at a rental place. This has the 2-liter 4-cylinder. It has 155 horsepower and about 150 foot-pounds of torque. It's pretty light, about 2,300 pounds, probably dry. I'm guessing with a full tank passengers, you're looking at about 25, 26. So it's a very nimble car, and I'm just super excited to be reviewing this car because I wasn't too excited when they first released the pictures of this car because I didn't know about the styling, but seeing it in person is so much better than seeing it in a video like this or even pictures. I had a 2002 SE. I really do miss that car, and this car, I tell you what, other than feeling a little bit more substantial, it feels nearly as good as the NB was. Some people are big fans of the NA, which was the 90 through 97 model, but I was always an NB guy, and the ND kind of harks back to those lighter weight than the NCs, and just all around refined, and it just feels really good. Now, as you see, the styling, it's not for everybody, but I tell you what, after being able to see this car up close and in person, not just in photos or videos, of course this is a video, I gotta tell you, this car looks great from just about every angle you can look at. This has the 17-inch wheels. I believe some of the lower models might have 16s. This is just a base, but it comes very well equipped, and I just love it, man. It's a really cool car. The lights, everything is just really, really neat. And what I've found very interesting, I say interesting, but let me get this here, is the trunk space. You get a lot of trunk space from what I remember. I believe the NBs had about half this trunk space. As you can see, I think it might have been a spare tire. This does not. It looks like it has a flat tire kit in here. But other than that, I mean, yeah, you got a lot of trunk space for this type of car. I really like the top too. I wasn't necessarily a big fan of different color tops, but I think this goes very well with this car. Let's take a look under the hood. All right, so we got the hood open, and as you can see, there's a motor in here. That's all we need to see, nothing more than that. I'm just joking. Obviously, this has the 2.0 liter. It is a, of course, 4-cylinder, making 155 horsepower and about 150 foot-pounds of torque. So plenty of get up and go for this car that weighs roughly between 23 to 2,500 pounds. Kind of varies, you know, with fluids and passengers and stuff like that. But it's a very capable motor, and yeah, it gets a relatively good gas mileage too. Okay, so let's get a look on the inside. Of course, like with all convertibles, the window will come down just a little bit when you open it to kind of clear the top. I actually like this interior very much. It's got nice leather feel to it. It's got a red stitching that goes throughout the interior. It even incorporated into the seats. What I like about this is this actually has, these are heated seats, but these are cloth, and I like that over leather just because leather in hot, especially like today, it's just sticky and you can never really get cool, but with these seats, you know, it kind of helps. And we're gonna go ahead and open the top, which is actually very easy in the ND. The NBs and NAs before, as I get in here, they used to have clips up here on both sides. You had to do both sides, so you actually had to kind of lean over, which not a big deal in a Miata because not super wide. This, you have one clip. The windows will come down a little bit and you can open the top. So as you can see, like I showed out there, the clip, you just go like that and the top comes down easy, one-handed. Now what I like about this is this actually clips down in the back. The NAs, NBs, I don't know about the NCs, whether or not they clipped in the back, but they do on here instead of just falling back. So it's really, really nice and kind of feels special. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but to me it just feels special. And then you just easily do that, and putting up the top is as easy as it is putting it down. So now we're in the inside of the Miata, and of course in here it's very comfortable. It's very, to some people, might be a little bit claustrophobic starting out. I know that when I first got in, I was like, whoa, but I quickly acclimated to it. Of course, you have a key, but no key. This actually has a push start button. Starting on the driver's side, of course, you have your standard affair. You have your power windows for both sides. It actually has a power window lock so that the passenger doesn't roll down the window when you don't want them to. Also, it has your mirror controls. Mirrors actually have the blind spot monitoring. This car has that. Comes in very handy, I can tell you that much, when you're on the highway with the top up. You got your audio controls on your steering wheel. On the left-hand side, you got an info button for in the dash, as well as, you know, of course, voice recognition for your Bluetooth in your phone, cruise control, and then in the middle, pretty standard affair, is your climate controls. You know, how hot you want it, how hot you don't want it. Under the climate controls, you have the buttons for the heated seats, which comes in handy in the wintertime, cold nights, that type of thing, for obvious reasons. If you want to have the top down, and yeah, there's free settings to those. Beside that, just a little thing here that tells you if your passenger needs to have their, you know, seatbelt on, airbag warning. Next up is the most important part of the car, the 6-speed manual transmission. Of course, you can get this in automatic, which I'm sure is great, but, you know, for the pure feeling, 6-speed is the way to go in my book. Any type of manual you can get. Behind that, you have, of course, you have the radios, your home screen, navigation, which is on your screen, and a knob to cycle through those. It is a touch screen, but this actually works just as good in case you don't want to put your hands out too far. But the good thing about being in a Miata is nothing is too far away. Of course, a real e-brake. Gotta have those real e-brakes, not the electronic ones. Behind those controls, you have your little storage cubby. Not a whole lot of room in here. I don't even think you can fit a cell phone in this, but you can put change, maybe the key fob itself. So, and behind the cubby is you actually have cup holders. These can actually be removed, which is a very neat feature, because there's a spot up front where you can take it and put it in if your passenger or yourself wants to have your coffee up with you on the front. I said coffee. I don't really drink coffee, but, you know, teach their own. Behind this, I believe there's actually a 6-disc CD changer in here, or a CD player at the very least. And up there, because there is no glove box, you'll notice that when you get in, no glove box, they actually moved it between the back rear seats, where of course you find the manuals. I don't go through manuals. You can do that yourself on your own leisure. Okay, so now it's time to start the Mazda. It's got a nice little aggressive tone on startup. So it's not the best sounding Mazda, but you can obviously change that with some exhaust stuff. The first gauge pod we see here, you have your engine temp, the ambient temperature outside, your fuel range, as well as some other stuff, miles per gallon, current mile per gallons, average, that kind of thing. Of course, miles and your fuel gauge. Right front and center, of course, is the tach, and right in this corner you actually see what gear you're in, and it actually recommends when you should shift from first to second, third to fourth, and of course your miles per hour. And of course, like I said, this car actually does not have navigation, so we can't really fiddle around with that. But again, this is a very nice, quick, intuitive unit, and of course you can use this knob to make your selections and choices. And like I said, you got the home button. You take your home, and then you can just click it again. You'll get your tunes, and you click that to find out that you do not have navigation in this one. You can, of course, unlock it through your dealership. So I think that pretty much sums up this car as far as going over everything with it. Now all we gotta do is drive it. All right, so driving the 2018 Miata. It's actually very easy, clutch wise. You know, you just about half engagement, it feels like. With the AC on, of course, it's a little jerky in the first couple of gears, but it's got great pickup. It feels good. It feels very natural. The first thing you notice when you do get into it is you are sunken low. You definitely feel a lot lower than you thought you were going to be in this car. Everything is just up high. Of course, that's for safety reasons. You know, there's no longer the days where your arm is going to be nice and placed in a nice, comfortable position. Everything's just a little higher. You know, door, dash is right there. It's almost actually eye level with me. Really feel like I'm sitting lower. So with the lowness, there's not a whole lot of options. You can't really, you know, lift yourself up. You do have, of course, your seat back and forth. You can actually get back pretty far in this. I'm only 5'8", so I can't really say how far or how tall somebody could be comfortably sat in this car. But the shifts, I love the shifts. They feel clean. Like I said, with the AC on, you know, that first to second is sometimes a little bit like not, how do you say, kind of lurchy. Almost feels like when you don't fully engage a clutch and you take off and you start to buck a little bit. But that's also taking it easy too. Sometimes you just need to give her the beans, so to speak. Overall ride, it's very comfortable, not jarly. Took this on some ladder, not so nice roads, and it soaks up the bumps very nicely. You can definitely take this on a long trip, provided you pack light, maybe not have a second person with you. But I was really impressed with the trunk space in this car. When I popped that trunk, I was like, wow, you can actually put stuff back here. Because like I said, in the NB that I had, I don't know about the NCs, but the NB, the trunk had a little bit raised in there. Option wise, this car has, you know, for being a base, this has a lot of good options. I mean, you get blind spot monitoring, you got your cruise control, you know, your steering wheel controls, all that stuff that people want in a car. So I mean, for the bang for the buck, I mean, you can't go wrong with it. This is one of the greatest sports cars ever made, and there's a reason for it. Let's just, you know, have an accident. So the brakes work pretty good. Yeah. So the brakes work good, as we saw briefly there for a second. Didn't really have to get on them, but brakes work good. The car turns in nice. There's very little effort. You know, you turn the wheel, the car reacts. Not much of a dead space on center at all. Even if you just go a little bit, the car will start to go that way. So that's very nice. I don't notice a whole lot of road feel through the wheel though. That's kind of, I don't know. It feels good, but I just don't notice a whole lot of road feel, which anybody who knows what I mean, you know, sometimes you can really feel like those little divots in the road and little things. You don't necessarily get that in here, and kind of takes away some of the sporty feel, you know, whether or not you can really put it in there. But as we come around this roundabout, trying to be, you know, relatively, yeah, you just don't want to go too fast around these with all these people. But the turning, everything, I mean, this is just a great sports car. And if you're looking for something that's, you know, driver oriented, not over the top, you know, doesn't carry a lot of weight, and for the money, I mean, these start around $25,000 or so. I'm sure you can pick up a used one for a good bit less. I mean, just bang for the buck, this is a great car. And I tell you what, I've been thinking about one of these, and I'm going to get one of these eventually. Somehow, some way, I'm going to get one of these in my driveway. Quality, that's kind of subjective. I think this car feels pretty classy. It's, you know, cheap materials, but it's done right. It just, you know, you feel like you're driving something of modern era. There's not many panel gaps or anything. It just, you get in here and you don't feel like you're driving, you know, something subpar. You know, you don't feel like you're driving a, you know, base model Corolla, Honda Civic, or even stuff like that. You know, Mazda has stepped up their game interior-wise, and I think, you know, as far as what Mazda offers interiors, not just this, but, you know, their whole lineup, they just, you know, very pleasing on the eyes. I love everything. So it's pretty easy to rev match, and when you get on it, it just gets up and goes so well. That's the one thing I noticed in my NB was you got on it and you got a lot of noise, but you never really felt a push. This car actually feels like it's pushing you. You know, obviously a little bit bump in power and weight. It's just, I love it. I love it, man. I got to get me one of these cars. All right, guys, that is our time with the 2018 Mazda Miata. I really enjoyed this car, and I hate to see it go. It's a great car. I highly suggest, if you've ever thought about one of these, going ahead and going somewhere to get a test drive, dealership. Like I said, I got this off of Turo. Yeah, just a great car, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Until the next video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, you want to see more, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.